What's up, guys? My name's Brian. I am from the Fandom at Random podcast, and this is my first movie review. I'm going to kick it off with Halloween Kills, but let me explain a few things. Fandom at Random is a pop culture podcast. We cover everything, all sides of fandom. If you want to check it out, fandomatrandom.com, you can find all the episodes there. We've done a lot of them, and like I said, there's something for everybody. But as of this right here, it's kind of a spin-off. I love horror. My fandom is horror. That's where it's at. And I'm going to be trying to do a lot more movie reviews from here on out. Figured the first one got to be Halloween, right? So check it out. Let me know what you think. And leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks. Alright, Halloween Kills 2021, directed by David Gordon Green. Let's do it. But first... Okay. Direct sequel to 2018, and much anticipated. I know I was hyped for it. Unfortunately, after seeing it, the hype was not met for me. The way I kind of want to do it, I want to go with the good. Everything I liked about the movie, everything that hit for me. Then the bad, which in this case might be a little bit more than the good. And then a few meh things, like things I could have lived with or without. So, again, I want to mention, if you're here, thank you for checking it out. If you like what you hear, like and subscribe. But otherwise, let's get to it. So, the good, Michael Myers was a badass. No doubt about it. They made Michael Myers as good as he once was before all the crazy sequels and remakes and all that bullshit. But yeah, he felt violent, brutal, without a pattern. Everything about him just felt really good. The mask looked fucking crazy with the burns on the side, and not only that, but we saw a old mask in the flashback, and that looked really good too. So yeah, I think no matter what I say in this review, you can't take away how good Michael Myers was in it. That's just that. So otherwise, the kills were really good as well. Most of them, at least. I mean, we had one where the nurse lady got hit with the Desert Eagle and she shot herself in the face. That was kind of stupid, but you know, it is what it is. Otherwise, all the other kills are good. Uncle Teddy from Rescue Me, that was a good one. Especially when his wife was bleeding out after getting stabbed with, you know, the light. She's sitting there watching as Michael turns him into a pincushion, which felt a little out of character for Michael Myers, but at the same time, I didn't mind it because it was pretty messed up. I mean, no doubt about that, you know. And then another high point for me was the cinematography. Overall, I think it was filmed really well, and the scenes came together really well. The pacing, not so much, but the way it was filmed, I liked. On top of that, the score, you know, the soundtrack felt great. It felt like an old Halloween movie. So if I wasn't watching the rest of the movie and just listening to the soundtrack, A+. The last good point I can make is that it ties into the original really well. We get a flashback scene in the beginning, like I mentioned, that really was, in and of itself, a great scene. Necessary, on the other hand, probably not. I think the movie could have done the same thing without it. It was a cool highlight, but other than that, I don't think it really added or took away from the movie at all. So, yeah, you know, there were good things about this film. There were things on my second watch that I noticed that I did like, and that's a good thing. But now we're going to move on to the bad. Let me just remind people that this is my opinion. I am not a professional movie reviewer. I'm just some dude watching a movie and giving my opinion on it. I know this film is really divisive, and if the group I'm in, Killer Flicks, is anything to go by, there's going to be people that are not going to agree with me at all. So just keep that in mind. Don't crucify me. I promise this is just the way I feel about it. Let's start with the biggest negative for me, which was the atmosphere. It really felt like this movie was lacking in all the atmosphere. You just felt like it was moving. Like, it felt like an action movie with horror elements put into it. And normally that wouldn't be a bad thing, but we're talking about a Halloween film here. And not only that, we're talking about a Halloween trilogy that kind of was trying to go back to the roots of the original, and I think it strayed very far from that. The pacing, the kills, the some of the story, it just felt very actiony. So yeah, there's that. You know, when I think about Halloween, when I think about the original, I think about that slow burn, the stalking that Michael Myers does, the hiding, and the build up to the kills and the climax of the film. There was nothing like that in here, and I guess that was kind of the point of this movie, but I think it could have been executed better. It just didn't. I never was on the edge of my seat. It was like, oh, this is what we're getting. We're getting into it right away, and that's how it is. So yeah. Another thing is the dialogue, and I know people keep saying, what about, you know, slasher movies? In any slasher movie, when is the dialogue ever good? Blah blah blah. I feel like the original dialogue may have been a little corny at times, but Donald Pleasance absolutely delivered those lines way better than any actress or actor in this movie. And Tommy Doyle, played by Michael Hall, was the biggest disappointment for me. His speech at the beginning in the bar felt like slam poetry, for Christ's sakes. What was one of those lines? He said, the boogeyman's coming to get me, and he's coming for you, but we will never succumb to fear. I'm just like, the hell? You know, and it didn't even end there. That was just one of them. Never mind the evil dies tonight 45 times throughout the movie. Probably more. I never counted, but the dialogue overall just felt very cheesy and not in an intentional way. So, yeah. Another one, Allison, Laurie Strode's granddaughter, just annoyed me for some reason. I mean, I guess it started with her going up to the mob and being like, all right, what do we got? Looking at the gun selection and picking out the shotgun, and nobody, including her boyfriend's father, was ever thought to think, you're too young, sorry, we're out to murder somebody. Whether it be Michael Myers or not, you're still out to murder somebody. And they just, okay, get in the car, we're going, make sure you're a good shot, you know? So that felt a little off to me. And at one point she says, Michael Myers has haunted this town for 40 years. Tonight we hunt him. Don't quote me, but something like that. But in this timeline, technically, didn't Michael Myers only haunt the town for 2 years at this point? Because we didn't get any of the sequels, and so maybe in memory of the survivors like Tommy Doyle and Lindsay, it might have haunted them, but the town itself, I mean, I don't know, felt a little off. Anyway, that brings me to my next point. This mob mentality. I get what they were trying to do with that. It just didn't work in this movie for me. It made for a lot of worse scenes than it did good scenes. And one of those scenes was in the beginning with the nurse, the doctor, and one of the survivors. They're in a park, and they go and talk to these kids, which their dialogue was shitty to begin with. I mean, they're just complete assholes right off the bat to this lady, you know, whatever happened to respect your elders, but that's besides the point. I did like that they were wearing the Season of the Witch mask. That was a cool Easter egg, so I'm not going to complain about that. But after that, we get the nurse and everyone else in the car getting attacked. She bounces, she leaves, and we don't know where she goes, but she takes the giant Desert Eagle with her, and after the other two people are killed, she comes back and one-hands the Desert Eagle and no kickback, misses every shot, and then gets hit in the hand with the door, shoots herself in the face. It just was ridiculous to me. So that's just one instance, and there's many other ones, which brings me to a scene that I think took away 30 minutes of the movie that we absolutely could have used to build something, and that was when the witch hunt, the mob was chasing the mental patient. They're chasing him around. Of course it's not Michael Myers. If I'm not mistaken, in the beginning of the movie, they show his face on the news. I could be wrong about that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I get the message they were trying to push, but it didn't come off that way. It just felt very forced. Felt very much like they were trying to push the message in your face, like we were too dumb to understand what they were trying to tell us. So I think that's another scene that could have came right out and it wouldn't affected the movie at all. Oh, and another point, Laurie Strode was not in this movie almost period, which I get. They're trying to pass the torch along to her daughter Karen and her granddaughter, and that makes sense, but the only role she did play was some of the cringiest moments in the movie. It is what it is. I mean, I think they should have just killed her off maybe in the beginning of the movie. That would have made for a good shock factor, and it would have made for a good time to pass the torch on to her family. So, yeah. And least of all, the humor. Felt like a Marvel movie trying to force humor into their horror movie, and not only that, but the humor felt flat. I don't think I laughed very much at any of the jokes, maybe one or two of them, so I think they could have done without it, period. But you know, whatever. The last bad point, the ending. Holy shit, guys. I get that they were trying to build Michael up into this phantom ghostly figure and that he can't be beaten and he can't be killed, but I didn't like it. I mean, he's Michael Myers, he's not Jason Voorhees, and I get that in the sequels and a lot of other parts of Halloween, that's what he is, but remember, we cut those all out in this timeline and we're going off the original. So it was a good opportunity to treat him like he could possibly be a little more powerful than a regular human, but not Super Saiyan Michael Myers. You know, that last scene with the mob circling him and God, Karen luring him out by being like, I'm an innocent woman with no power, come get me. I can't remember what they said, but yeah, it was insane. And they beat him up with bats, crowbars. They shoot him like 18 to 20 times. No, probably more like 5, but then stab him what looks like in the spinal cord. You think he's ready to die, and then they let him rest. If we've learned anything, and if Laurie Strode has learned anything, and Tommy Doyle has learned anything, you don't let Michael Myers rest. Then we get one of the worst monologues I've ever heard. Jesus Christ, it was just so cringy, man. And he rises up and obliterates the mob. And then it just goes downhill from there, because he obliterates them, somehow sneaks past the rest of the neighborhood and sneaks into Judith's room and kills or stabs Karen a few times, and I guess we're meant to believe she died, but I have a hard time buying that. I don't think they're gonna kill her off quite yet. Honestly, I was hoping they would kill off Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis. It would have been a good move in the sequel to finish the, you know, Halloween ends with the daughter and granddaughter. That would have made sense to me. But yeah, I know it sounds like I'm just complaining about this movie, but there were a lot of negative points for me, so that's that, you know. So in conclusion, I think we had a great Michael Myers in this movie. I think he was brutal, he was entertaining to watch, and he was not scary or terrifying, but again, a good villain. But the dialogue, the story, the acting at some points, and some of the scenes that they decided to include in this movie were huge negatives for me. And it was disappointing because I was excited to see this movie. And after a second watch, it didn't get better. It didn't get worse, but it didn't get better. So now I'm going to rate it from 1 to 10. No decimals, so it's going to be even numbers. And this one I'm going to give a 6 out of 10. I think on all of the movies and the scale they're on, 6 out of 10 is fair. Now, I'm going to watch it again, obviously. It's a Halloween movie, so maybe it'll get better over time, but for right now, that's where I'm at. If you guys liked it, let me know. If you guys hated it, let me know. If you guys want me to do more movie reviews, let me know. If you made it this far into the video, I really appreciate you. Make sure you check out fandomatrandom.com. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel so you can check out more of my movie reviews. But otherwise, rock on, and let's wait until Halloween ends, right?